20%. 20% is the percentage of the number of African Americans that have had at least one depressive episode in their life by the age of 25. Now, why is this the case? One reason is an adverse childhood experience. According to Jamie Freeney, an associate professor of psychology at the University of Massachusetts, adverse childhood experiences, such as community violence, can lead to an increased risk of depression. Another professor of behavioral studies at Rollins, Brianna Woods Yeager, asserts that adverse childhood experiences can also lead to academic problems, cognitive difficulties, psychological symptoms, and chronic health conditions. All of these things combined make the likelihood of depression in an African American much more likely. The second reason that depression is a lot more likely in an African American individual is climate change. According to Fred Bender, a well-known writer for Knowledgeable magazine, he wrote in his article titled Urban Evolution that members of impoverished neighborhoods tend to have exposure to higher temperatures and increased air pollutants. This is because of the cheap land available to factories and industry. Since most factories build their industry in impoverished neighborhoods, this makes emissions, concrete makes the temperatures higher, all of these things combined. This, combined with greater exposure to adverse childhood experiences, make the sudden loss of life much more common in the African American community. So, how does the Black community build resiliency to these issues? Back to Professor Yeager. She says that there are three main ways that the African American community builds resiliency to these problems. One of them being social support, another being empathy from others, another being cultural influences. I have a picture of Louis Armstrong up here, who was a popular jazz musician during the jazz age of America. People like him, such as artists, cultural influencers, they make music that the community can resonate with. Now, the number one reason African Americans are able to build resiliency, though, is because of religion. If I go back to the last slide here, a strong religious community can offer you support from a caring, affectionate community around you. Also, an empathetic community if you're a part of a church as well. So how exactly does religion foster resilience in the African American community? We can look at this if we take a look back through history. During the time of slavery, spirituality played a very important role in fostering resilience in the African American community. Oftentimes, these slaves, they'd wake up and living conditions were just horrible. They used traditional African tradition combined with Christianity to foster resilience that things would be better in the next life. It gave them a way to put one foot in front of the other. Another time in history, the Civil Rights era of America, religion also played a very important role in fostering resilience in the Black community. Martin Luther King often said, love your enemy as you love yourself. This is just an example of the way religion fostered resiliency in the Civil Rights era as well, in the Black community. Back to today. According to an independent study done by Pew Research Center, 2/3 of African Americans still practice Protestantism religion today. Why? Why exactly is this the case? According to Beverly Edwards, a professor of social work at Fayetteville State University, she asserts that individuals with high levels of spirituality compared to those with less levels of spirituality are much less likely to have a depressive episode. Oftentimes, we see in individuals that practice religion a lot, positive psychological traits develop most times because of the strong sense of community around you, as Professor Yeager asserted. So to wrap things up here, whether it be through the ages of slavery in America or through the struggle of the civil rights in the 60s, religion has played an integral role in fostering resiliency in the African American community and will continue to do so today with the modern day issues that face the African American community. Thank you.
Luke, did your research go in a different direction than you originally expected?
Yes, ma'am. There are a couple things. Originally, I was mainly going to focus on African American adolescents. I found that a lot of the time with psychological studies, it takes a lot of time for people to govern research on that. So over the course of someone's life is mainly when you figure things out. So it's hard to find a lot of these things out for an adolescent individual. I'd also say originally I planned on doing a much more broad study on religion, including Malcolm X, Muslim during the civil rights era as well. But I mainly focused to study Christianity.
And what additional questions emerged from your research?
I guess the main thing I question is what this will look like going forward. I think it's interesting to see, these days less and less people are going to church. I'd say the main question emerged for me is what will this look like in the future as far as, what role will spirituality play in the African American faith going forward.